live from Studio 31 at City National Arena in downtown Summerlin, Nevada. Welcome to Vegas Golden Knights training camp presented by Core Hydration. Dan Duva, Gary Lawless here for day number 2 on the ice for the Vegas Golden Knights. All the teams across the National Hockey League opening their training camp on ice sessions yesterday, and we are excited to be back. Dave and Shane had the honors yesterday. Now you got the radio guys here for day 2. How you doing, Gary?
I'm good, Danny. Good to see you again. Good to be back on the air with you.
Yeah.
We take our hiatus over the summer. Maybe a couple of phone calls or texts, but we keep the communication limited during the summer so that we can save up all that good stuff.
Is that the reason?
Or that either that or you don't like me.
Well, we do have so much to catch up on then, don't we?
Yeah.
And plenty to talk about what's happening on the ice. Just feet away from us here at City National Arena, the Golden Knights break their groups into 3. There's a Team Golden, Team Knights, Team Vegas, and each of those 3 groups have 2 separate on-ice sessions. So you add it all up, that's 6 different on-ice sessions, and what you're watching right now is part 2 of Team Golden. They went on the ice first at 9 o'clock, then they went off for a little bit of video, and they've just come back out on the ice, and we will be covering Team Golden. So if you're keeping track at home, yesterday it went Team Vegas, Team Golden, Team Knights. Today, it's Team Golden, Team Knights, Team Vegas. There will be a quiz later on. We'll let you know who is part of which group, but of the significant people that you might want to keep an eye on, we will advise you of that. So Tomas Hertl centering Brandon Saad and Pavel Dorofeev. That would be the most NHL impactful line, and you see Tomas Hertl on your screen. And we expect also to have a special guest joining us live in studio in a matter of minutes. Gary, it is a goaltender. It is Carl Lindbomb, who has had a terrific beginning to his North American career last year with the Silver Knights, and a pretty good showing so far from what we've seen from Carl Lindbomb, who will join us in just about 7 or 8 minutes.
You know, it's unfair to sort of, pigeonhole players in certain categories, but I'll go ahead and do it anyways.
Of course you will.
Carl Lindbomb is not of the Markstrom-sized goaltender. I'm picking one of his countrymen. He is more like Dustin Wolf, who just signed a big-time extension with the Calgary Flames. And there is still room in the NHL for a goalie that isn't 6'5", right? Lots of teams have bigger goalies, but there are, guys that fall into that more athletic category, and in order to be that type of goalie, the first thing you have to be able to do is follow the play and read the play very well, because you have to be at the spot before the shooter takes a shot. If you are getting there, the bigger guys can rely on their body to deflect the shot or cover up their mistake in not getting to that spot in time. So Lindbomb has to have that skill, and he does. He reads the play very well. He's smart. The other thing about him is he is an extraordinary athlete, and he is one of the most finely tuned players at training camp. He is in tremendous physical condition. Kelly McCrimmon talked a little bit about him the other day, and that was one of the things he remarked. And then he said, Carl has to be the 3rd goalie in the organization. And what he means by that is he's got to play a ton of games for the Henderson Silver Knights. And if there's an injury in the NHL, you would expect that he would then be the guy that got the call. But Akira Schmid is going to be the number 2 in Vegas. Lindbomb was better than him in the American League last year.
Yeah, it is an interesting way to look at goaltending. And Kelly McCrimmon said this explicitly yesterday, that the NHL can be an easier league in which to play compared to the American Hockey League. And there are variables to explain that. The NHL can be more predictable. Bottom line is, Schmid's numbers were better with the Golden Knights than they were with the Silver Knights, smaller sample.
Well,
but Kelly McCrimmon also pointed out he's already won a Stanley Cup playoff series as a New Jersey Devils goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the list of goalies that have played in the NHL is a certain length, and a much smaller list is the one that contains goalies that have won a playoff series in the NHL.
And you're looking at Akira Schmid right now, and Kelly admitted yesterday we never quite named him the number 2 goalie at any point for the Golden Knights at the end of last year, but by de facto games played and backing up, he was. Ilya Samsonov had been relegated to some sort of number 3, and it was Schmid who did appear in Golden Knights games down the stretch, but then notably was the backup during the Stanley Cup playoffs if Adin Hill had gone down. And so you're looking at Akira Schmid right now. Again, we expect to hear from Carl Lindbomb in just moments. Carl is part of Team Knights. They will be going on the ice here at City National Arena at 11:30 a.m., and then they'll take a break for video, then back on at 12:30, just after noon. So that's what we've got here. Plenty to talk about. Goaltending a big part of it. And as we await the arrival in studio of Carl, it is worth pointing out that Carl is not short. He's just not as tall as, let's say, Adin Hill or Akira Schmid. Now, when the Knights first drafted him, he was listed at 6 feet. He's now listed at 6'1". He's listed at 185 pounds, and we'll see if the height and weight that is taken for each player at the beginning of training camp. Sometimes those numbers fluctuate, so we'll see if that is a little bit different come opening day. So Carl, again, at the moment, listed at 6'1", 185 pounds, 22 years old, and last season was his first in North America. And he did play 36 games for Henderson, and he won 18 out of those 36 appearances, and he was 3 games over 500, 18, 15, and 2. And for a team that struggled at times, the numbers are not bad, Gary. 2.65 goals against average and a 9.12 save percentage, and you throw in 3 shutouts. So opportunity for Carl in the organization, and certainly opportunity to get a lot of games played with the Silver Knights, who will have their own sort of training camp once Golden Knights training camp moves into closer and closer to game action. Knights have 3 days of just practice before they hit the ice in game action Sunday in San Jose.
Yeah, just watching the skate in front of us right now, and I just saw Pavel Dorofeev, and talked to Pav in the dressing room yesterday off to the side, and he really commits himself in the summer. He goes to Stamford, Connecticut. He has a trainer there that he works with, and by all accounts, he uses his summers to his advantage. Really works hard. He said to me yesterday, I said, what'd you work on? And he said, I asked a bunch of people that, and he said, bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
That was his reply. He wasn't didn't kind of it was real clear. Zach Whitecloud, I said, what did you do? He said, I told my trainer, who is good friends with Doug Davidson, who is the trainer of the the strength and conditioning coach of the Golden Knights. I told the two of them, get me ready to play 23 minutes a night, because he, knowing that Pietrangelo was not going to be, those minutes were going to have to get eaten up by other players. And I said, how did you do that? He said, I built my engine. And so, he said it's not just about, getting on the bike and riding so that you can improve your endurance. It's mental. There's nutrition. He said he really worked on his sleep, because he said, if I'm going to play that much every night, I need to recover. I need to improve my recovery. So it's so interesting. Like, listen, I'm old enough. Guys spent their summer drinking beer, and like Tony and Phil Esposito, they went back to Sault Ste. Marie and drove a dump truck in the summer. They went,
Not for fun.
They delivered gravel. No, they needed to make the money. But like, if you watch those videos in '72, the Summit Series, Phil gives that interview, that famous interview where he kind of scolds Canada because they booed them off the ice in Vancouver. And he says, and you watch him, he's got like 3 chins. He looks, and like now these guys, they spend the whole summer really working on what they can to be a better player the next year. And, that's why, there's 3 practice days, and then they start playing games. This is not about getting back in shape. This is about yesterday. They're working from the goal line out. Yesterday was about the D zone. Today is the neutral zone. Saturday will be about the O zone, and Sunday they play a game. Cole Schmid, you and I cornered Cole, and same thing. What'd you work on? Getting strong, and and getting a little heavier. He put on 10 pounds of muscle, and I right away I said, "Are you as fast as you were?" And he said, "It's interesting. I feel faster and more powerful because the weight that I put on, it's all in my legs." So his power source got bigger and stronger. And listen, I have him as the 13th forward. Him and Ron Beard kind of 13, 14, depending on how things shake out. I think there's more to. I think Cole has more to offer, and I think he does. I think offensively he can contribute a little bit. Put it this way: he was a waiver wire guy last year. He would not clear waivers this year. He didn't clear last year when it was Edmonton, or was it Calgary? Calgary. Edmonton was Lavoie.
Mm-hmm. It went back and forth, multiple waiver claims.
Yeah, Schwint would not clear. Someone would claim him, and I think Ron Beard will be. That'll be an interesting situation if the Golden Knights have to, depending on how their roster looks, if they have to make a decision in that regard. Dylan Coughlin, was talking to him a little bit. He said, "I'm 12 pounds heavier than I was when I last played here."
He's been gone for 3 years.
Yeah.
But he came back and said it was like no time was missed.
Yeah.
Same number.
He's excited. He's got a spot where he's going to live, and
he's engaged now.
Yeah.
Scored one of the Golden Knights' handful of hat tricks. And a defenseman hat trick, no less.
Played in the playoffs last year for the Winnipeg Jets. Spent a lot of the time in the American League last year with the Manitoba Moose, but did get up to play some with the Jets. Talked to him a little bit about that experience. So, all of those, like I can tell you right now, if the season started tomorrow, the Golden Knights would go Eichel between Marner and Barbashev. They'd go Hurdle between Saad and Dorofeev. They'd go Carlson between Stone and Smith. And then they would have Sissons between Kolasar and Howden. And on the blue line, you'd go Theodore, McNabb, White Cloud, Hanifin, Lazon, and Korzak. Like that, all that kind of, but it's what happens when someone gets hurt and all around that area that will be interesting in training camp.
Yeah, training camp presented by Core Hydration, and while hydration during training camp is critical, before and after is just as important. And so Carl Lindbomb, we told you was going to be here. He is here in studio. Would you like some Core Hydration, Carl?
Sure, I'll take some. Yeah. Jeez. Everywhere I go.
That's right. There you go. Carl is with us in Studio 31. How's it going?
That's good. Going good, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. And Dan Duva, Gary Lawless here at Carl Lindbomb in studio as we watch the Golden Knights on the ice, day 2 of training camp, presented by Core Hydration. And, well, Carl, this is an exciting time for any hockey player. Before we talk about what's in front of us, what was your summer like? Where were you? What did you do?
It was good. It was good. I was in Sweden for about 3 months at my parents' house, and enjoyed life. Went to Portugal with a couple of buddies and played some golf.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always want to know from the Swedish guys, so you just said golf, but usually it's tennis or soccer that is kind of a golf is becoming more and more popular. But,
yeah.
I think it was Ron Beard was telling me it's no, it wasn't Ron Beard. It was Ron Beard. He was telling me it was hard to play golf back home for him because there's just not a ton of golf courses. A lot of golf courses in Sweden?
There actually is, yeah.
Yeah? Uh-huh.
Yeah, there are some good courses out there, for sure, yeah.
Does tennis or soccer, are they, obviously hockey is huge in Sweden, but I know William Karlsson likes both sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, soccer is huge.
Yeah.
Like, soccer, I'd say, is probably the biggest sport in Sweden.
Uh-huh.
Tennis is big, too. I'm a big tennis fan, so try to get some tennis in the summer, too.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I'm in my 50s, and, obviously there was a wave of Swedish hockey players, that were coming through. And, I remember Hedberg and Nielsen, joining the Winnipeg Jets in the WHA, but Borje Salming was the guy that kind of really, got my attention among Swedish players. Do you know a little bit about Borje?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, Borje was obviously like the first really big one. That kind of
such a great player.
Oh my God, that kind of put us on the map.
Yeah.
Right. So, he was just an unreal player and just a great person in general. Yeah.
And then, Forsberg, Sundin, obviously huge impacts. Are you Henrik Lundqvist? Is that was that the guy that you watched in terms of goaltending?
It actually was. Yeah. So Henrik, he was the guy I watched for sure. Like he was kind of my idol growing up. He's obviously still is. He's huge in Sweden.
Yeah, he looks terrible in a suit.
Oh sure. Awful. Just awful, right?
We decided to put him on television.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great goalie, a good dude. So, yeah, he was the one I watched growing up for sure. Yeah.
How did you become a goalie?
Well, actually, my older brother is a goalie. He got drafted by the Rangers second round, what was it, like 5-6 years ago, something like that. So he was a goalie when I was 6-7. I thought he was really cool for being a goalie, so I kind of wanted to do that.
And it's worked out okay?
Yeah, it's been all right so far.
Yeah.
Kelly McCrimmon, told us yesterday that you're one of the most fit guys in camp. Now, are you a gym rat? Are you a guy that likes to run? Like what? Why are you in such great shape?
Well, yeah, great question. So back home in Sweden, we did a lot of like gym stuff and conditioning stuff, bike a lot. So if you ask Holtzy how he is in the gym, he's really strong too. So I think it kind of comes from there, and I do like working out and try to stay in good shape. So yeah.
How does that affect, say, the goaltending position? A new fan to the sport might not know that a goaltender needs to be an excellent skater, right? They the goalie just stays in the crease.
Yeah,
but that is a misnomer,
there,
right?
Exactly.
Can you help us understand that?
Well, so like it looks like we're just standing there, but we gotta squat deep pretty much all the time. Always be ready to move. So if a guy is approaching with the puck, you're in your stance. You can't just stay there. If he passes the puck, you're screwed, right? So you have to be a good skater to be able to move and always be ready when the pass comes and the shot comes. So it's kind of hard to explain, but we for sure skating is a big part of it.
Yeah, and to be in shape, of course, for any hockey player, any athlete. But the other part of it is you don't get shift changes. You don't get to go sit on the bench for any period of time.
Yeah.
Does it get lonely back there?
Well, sometimes it actually does. If it's a one-sided game and we're doing good, it's obviously very fun for the boys and fun that we're winning. But sometimes it can get a little bit lonely.
Well, Ken Dryden, the late Ken Dryden, who just passed away, was known as much for his position. When the puck was at the other end of the ice, he would lean on his stick like this, and he would do it for. He played for the Montreal Canadiens. One year they only lost 8 games. He would do it for long stretches. His record is pretty amazing. I think he was 74-6-1 at Cornell in NCAA, and then he got to the NHL and he won Stanley Cups in 6 of 8 seasons, including as a rookie he won the Conn Smythe. Like he just showed up and led the Habs to the Cup, and they gave him the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup, and then eight years later, he's like, I think I'll go finish my law degree.
Yeah,
Gone.
yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to see a career quite like that
No.
anytime soon. But your North American career, Carl Lindbomb is our guest, of course, Golden Knights goaltender here in training camp. It is day 2 of training camp presented by Core Hydration. Your first full year at North America, Henderson Silver Knights last year. Perhaps the team didn't win as many games as it would have liked. What was the season like for you?
Well, it was good. Overall, I'd say it was good. I played a lot of games. Fortunately, had an injury there in November. Was out for a couple of weeks, but then played pretty well and played a lot of games, and we did really well at the end of the year. So we had a good thing going there.
What did you learn about yourself having gone through this first year on so far from home?
Great question. I think I've always kind of knew that about myself, but I need structure. Like if I believe in something and I think I'm capable of doing it, I have to keep doing the things to kind of get me towards that goal or something. I can't just be all over the place, just whatever. I kind of need structure to play good.
So how would you characterize where you are right now versus where you were a year ago coming into this whole NHL thing for the first time?
Yeah, no, great question. Like, I feel like even though I only have 1 year, I feel like I have so much more experience. Even if it's just 1 year, I have so many more games under my belt. I know the organization, I know the guys, I know the coaching staff. So obviously, it does feel a lot better. It does feel like I'm more at home right here.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before you came in. Kelly McCrimmon and Bruce Cassidy and others have talked about how impressive your play has been, but also just your stature is not quite as big as some other goaltenders.
Sure.
Now, you're not short. Like, I'm really short. There was a guy I remember who I covered in the minor leagues, played at Michigan State, Jeff Lurd, who was shorter than me. You haven't seen me stand up here, but I'm pretty short. And he's excelled at the college level. So you're not short, but you're also not among the biggest guys at your position. How do you think about that? Is it something to overcome? How do you think about your size and how you play?
Well, back to the fitness. I guess that's one of the biggest parts. Because I'm not as big as the other guys, I need to be quicker and I need to be able to read the game better a little bit. So I try to focus on that a lot. That's a huge part for me, trying to read the game and always be a step ahead. And I feel like we just saw Dustin Wolf sign a big contract. He's kind of like me, maybe a little bit shorter even, and he's just an unbelievable goalie. So and UC Saros. So there's a lot of guys that have done it before me that are maybe even shorter than me. So that's really a big inspiration for sure.
Yeah. Carl Lindbomb is our guest, wrapping things up here with Carl as he's got to get ready for his session that will be coming up in just a little bit. As we wrap up our conversation here, Carl, I'm looking forward now. What are your goals looking ahead, not only here for training camp, but start out the season?
Well, my goals are this season, I'd love to play a lot of games. Obviously, Henderson is a great spot to be. Playing a lot of games, I feel like it really developed me last year. But also, I wanna show the coaching staff that if they need me and when they need me, I'll be ready.
Yeah. Have you been given an indication of how much Golden Knights preseason action you might get?
Not as of yet. No. Hopefully, I'll get something. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Got to be pretty excited.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hockey season is here. It's day 2 of training camp. Knights will have 7 preseason games before the regular season kicks off. Gary, any final questions for Carl before we send him down to the room?
Well, you talked about experience, and did you get homesick last year?
Actually, no.
No?
I didn't.
That ruins my question, Carl.
Okay, well, sorry.
Yes!
Okay, yes, a little bit.
homesick.
Yes. Go ahead. A little bit.
No, that's good. I'm glad you didn't get homesick. That means the organization did its job and took care of you,
Exactly.
and hopefully that'll be the same this year for sure.
Right.
Excellent stuff.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Carl. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
by.
Appreciate it. Thank
Best of luck. That's Carl
Thanks,
Lindbomb,
Carl.
everybody,
Good
who was, of course, with the Henderson Silver Knights for last season and having been Golden Knights draft choice 2021, 7th round pick from Stockholm, and now part of the Golden Knights future at the goaltending position. You see Akira Schmid between the pipes right there as we watch what is this first group, second session. It's Team Golden on the ice right now. This is the second session for this group, and in just a little bit you will see Carl Lindbomb and company go on the ice for Team Knights. If you're thinking about making it over to City National Arena to watch in person, that group goes on the ice first at 11:30. They take a video break, go back on at 12:30, and then the third group of the day takes the ice at 2 o'clock. We'll take a little break and then come back on the ice at 3. So Team Golden, Team Knights, Team Vegas. Right now we are watching Team Golden, which is comprised at the NHL level, Saad, Hurdle, and Dorofeev. Throw in Schwint and Holtz. Then on the blue line, Hanifin, Whitecloud. And we should probably include Dylan Coghlan there, too, because he did play 59 NHL games a few years ago for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then in the crease, Akira Schmid, along with a number of players who you might expect to see at the American League level, the ECHL level, or even back at the amateur level. Dan Duva, Gary Lawless here. It's training camp presented by Core Hydration. Gary, pretty good stuff from Carl. You would not have figured this was just his second year away from it.
Just about to say. There is, when you meet a number one goaltender, you know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
That's a good way to put it.
When they walk into a room, you're like, bang, it hits you over the head.
Mm-hmm.
This is a number one goaltender.
Yep.
And whether or not he's going to be number one guy at the NHL level remains to be seen, but he is definitely the number one guy in Henderson right now, and he has that swagger gets overused. It's not that. It's there's just a current of confidence, and they have to have it because the team feeds so much off of that goaltender. You go back to when the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup in 1993. It's the last time a Canadian-based team won the Stanley Cup. Patrick Roy, on a number of occasions during that playoff, would say to his team, if they were down going into the third, he would say to them, just get us to overtime. Nothing else is going by. Or after they'd score one early in a game or had a one goal lead, he would say to them, relax, play your game. They're not beating me again tonight. Mm-hmm. And whenever he made one of those proclamations that year, he lived up to it. And of course, there's the famous moment when Sandstrom was playing for the Kings, misses a point-blank chance on Waugh from the slot, and Waugh looks up at him and winks at him. And it's, was caught on camera live on Hockey Night in Canada, and it was in all the newspapers the next day. It loses its impact in a still photo, but anyways, that team fed off of his foundation and his confidence and claimed the ultimate prize. I'm not suggesting that Lindbomb is going to be Patrick Waugh, but he does have, like I just said, he's got that confidence.
Yeah, then they ran.
You can feel it.
They ran Waugh out of town, and he won 2 Stanley Cups with the Avalanche.
Well, they didn't necessarily run him out of town. He ran himself out of town to a certain extent. I think he was ready for a change, and the fact that that he had a butted heads with his former roommate Mario Tremblay was
for all to see.
Might have just been convenient for Patrick, a good way for him to make an exit.
Perhaps. We digress. There's Pavel Dorofeev, as he has been skating alongside Tomas Hurdle and Brandon Saad. And Gary, there was a time last season when those three players were together and healthy, among the most productive and impactful lines, not only on the Golden Knights, but also in the league at that point. But then, an injury here, an injury there. It was mentioned yesterday by Kelly McCrimmon. Brandon Saad broke his ankle. I mean, you had Dorofeev, of course, then missed some time. So you wonder if perhaps that trio can get right back to the most productive hockey that it was playing at a stretch last year.
Well, part of me just sort of, I kind of thought at some point in time that they would put Dorofeev with Eichel and Marner because of his shot. And
maybe they will.
Yeah, but to start, Bruce Cassidy has him with Saad and Hurdle, and great problems to have for the Golden Knights. So you look at their top 9 right now: Barbashev, Eichel, and Marner, and then we're talking about Hurdle between Saad and Dorofeev, and then Carlson between Stone and Smith. Not many teams are going to have a problem. One of those 3 lines, or 2 of those 3 lines on some nights, are going to have a huge match advantage. And I know Mark Stone was kind of laughing about it, like yesterday, like, oh yeah, we're the 3rd line. He goes, but we got guys that can do some things on that group, and that's the truth. It is a luxury right now for Bruce. Kelly McCrimmon did a real good job for Bruce this offseason. So, yeah, I loved that combination when they were healthy. They were excellent. Tomas Hertl is a really, really good player in this league, and Saad has done a ton of great things, and Dorofeev, coming off 30-plus, is just, kind of scratching the surface.
Yeah. I'll ask you a couple of things, Gary. Of course, you mentioned Dorofeev getting over 30. Only twice has a Golden Knight hit 40 goals in franchise history. Jack Eichel broke 90 points last year. No Golden Knight has ever hit 100. So what happens this year? Does someone hit 40 goals? Does someone hit 100 points? And if so, is it multiple people and who?
Yeah, well, if Eichel and Marner play together all year and they stay healthy, and Jack has the better shot of the 3 players on that line. If he shoots a little more, this might be the year that he scores 40. Marner has become almost an automatic for 100 points. Jack, I think, is very capable of doing that. But, listen, Jack plays to win. He doesn't play for anything else. Like, the numbers are nice. Some people would argue you get paid for those numbers. Well, Jack Eichel is valued massively by this organization because of his willingness to do things other than produce.
Yep. A lot of the point production last year came from the power play, best power play in Golden Knights history through 8 seasons. Several records were broken, team record for power play goals and percentage, but also individual records. The previous power play goals record had been established in year 1 by Eric Howell, had 11. Jack Eichel tied it a couple years ago, but then both Pavel Dorofeev and Tomas Hertl, both of them broke that record. Dorofeev ended up with 13 power play goals. Hertl, the team lead, 14. Then you throw in the assists, 3 new players atop the leaderboard there, Theodore, Stone, and Eichel. And then in the power play points department, similarly, Hertl, Stone, and Eichel all broke the previous power play records for individual points. That's an interesting positive. It also, Gary, has led to the comment about 5-on-5. Knights' power play was so good for the first time, it was relied upon, but does that also mean, we need to now be more productive at 5-on-5? We can't rely on the power play.
Well, the offense dried up on 5-on-5.
Exactly.
So the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
And that is why the tinkering, acquiring Mitch Marner is not tinkering. It's adding a massive offensive piece that that gives him, that short shifts him. He's very good at both ends of the ice. He's just an elite hockey player, and I like what Sissons is going to bring to that 4th line, because I think at times Vegas did not forecheck the way you would like to have, and Sissons is going to really help in that regard. That line will be direct, and they're going to dump the puck in and then go hit people and get it back.
Yeah, I remember Nicholas Haig telling us about the series against Minnesota, how it was the most physically draining because just the way that Minnesota was playing, it was just exhausting to constantly be going back to retrieve the puck, and when you did, you got hammered. The Golden Knights, basically what you're saying is you want to flip that script and do to other teams what Vegas had experienced from Minnesota. Obviously, Vegas got through Minnesota, but they were exhausted coming at it.
Well, I just think you need to be able to do both. So like you have all this talent that, you know what I mean? Like if you early in a game, I've done this to you on radio a ton of times. Early in a game, a team will run the ball in football. Yeah. And then as soon as the other team says, okay, we're going to stack, put a bunch of people in the box, that opens up the passing game. Same thing in hockey. Dump the puck in early when it's a 50-50 play and hit their defensemen, get them on their heels, then all of a sudden they'll give you the blue line. And if the teams give Vegas the blue line and they can keep the puck, they're going to be very good creating offense that way. So I think there needs to be more balance and more. They need to be ambidextrous in that regard, and that they can be both a forecheck team and a puck possession team.
Yeah. And for Pavel, the numbers, of course, overall were impressive. You wonder if the next step this year, Gary, isn't so much just higher numbers, period, but just a little bit more consistency. There was a point last year for Dorofeev when he did not have a goal in 11 games.
Yeah, first season as a regular player in the NHL, right?
Yeah, I mean, he basically didn't score a goal until right before Christmas, that whole month of December. And unfortunately for the Golden Knights, that was a period of time when, remember, Ivan Barbashev had 15 goals and 15 assists in the first 30 games. Yeah. Then he got slew foot by Nick Foligno in Minnesota.
Marcus Foligno.
Excuse me, Marcus Foligno, thank you. And
they're both bad guys. Like good guys, but bad guys. Like they both can play on the edge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And anyway, the point was, you had an incredible start. I mean, Barbashev was on pace for 40 goals and 40 assists, right?
Yeah.
And then you throw in, Shay Theodore also had missed a little bit of time. The benefits of it. William Karlsson was not himself for a good chunk of the season. Remember, training camp was hampered and then missed time. I'm just thinking about it. If guys are healthy and are more consistent, you could see, as good as those players have been and the things they achieved, everybody that I just mentioned could go up another notch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, and Brett Howden scored how many? 22 last year?
Sure. I mean, right. You've got Howden and Kolasar, those guys, that part of the lineup.
Yeah.
Yep. 23 goals for Brett Howden last year, obliterating his previous numbers, and Kolasar finished with 12. He had career highs in goals and assists and points, plus he played all 82 games, and that itself is an achievement.
I love this roster. I just think that there's a ton of balance right now. Matchup issues for the opposition. They had put a little starch in the lineup by adding Sissons and Jeremy Lauzon. There's good depth. I like what they have. We got some questions, I think, Danny.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to those in just a moment. Cole Schwint is the person you see right there.
Yeah.
The other thing, I talked about injury. Part of that is just being in training camp. Remember Zach Whitecloud a couple of years ago? I mentioned Karlsson last year. Cole Schwint wasn't acquired from Calgary until 2 days before Game 1 of the regular season. He arrived in Vegas at City National Arena as the team was finishing up its morning skate for Game 1. Then he made his Golden Knights debut in Game 2, recorded his first NHL point with an assist. But he just talked about how this can be a very stressful time for any player. But now how much more comfortable he is to be in camp for the entire time and not having to figure things out along the way. So, yeah, let's get to some stream questions, Gary. We have people who are sending them in through social media. So if you have some questions, check us out online and wherever you might be tuning in. We'll take your questions as well. So let's get to this one. Again, training camp brought to you, presented by Core Hydration. Question, Gary, Max in Summerlin has a question. He's thinking about buying tickets to opening night and wants us to say hello. And wants to sell him on why he should go.
Well, he should it's not just game one. It's any of the Golden Knights home games is an event. It is the best show in hockey, and this is also an opportunity to see your new team for the very first time and be part of. Like, if the Golden Knights were to go on and win the Stanley Cup, you could say, Max, I went to the first game that year, and I got them off to the start they needed to get off to.
I would throw in, see Mitch Marner's debut.
Yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights debut, of course, having been so productive, among the most productive Toronto Maple Leafs in franchise history, which is, of course, saying something. And just to see Jack Eichel, Noah Hanifin, and Mitch Marner together, each of those players was a top 5 pick in the same year. And now they're all on the same Golden Knights roster. And I love the photograph that the Vegas Golden Knights put out from that draft with sort of a foreshadowing line. Wouldn't it be cool if the three of us were together in 10 years from now playing for a team that doesn't exist yet in Las Vegas? And so I think that just to see Eichel and Hanifin and, of course, Marner making his debut, that's sort of a neat thing. These players are now entering their prime years. They've had great starts to their careers. They're already accomplished, representing their countries. But now as you get into your late 20s, that's sort of the sweet spot where you still have the physical talents of your youth, but the combined wisdom of years before your talent and skill and speed and things start to fall off a little bit. This is right into the meat of the prime years for those players.
Yeah, and Vegas has a lot of guys like that. They have some, it's a good balance, you know what I mean? You've got a few younger guys, Korzak and Dorofeev, that are, kind of making their way into the lineup. And then, obviously, you have your Mark Stones and Braden McNabbs and William Karlsson and Riley Smith that have been there, done that. And then that middle of the roster in terms of age, not ability, which includes Eichel and Hanifin and Howden, Kolasar, White Cloud. Theodore is in that grouping as well. I always think that's important. You need a little bit of sage, you need a little bit of juice, and then you need guys that are guys in their prime.
Other folks who have tuned in from all over the place. Here's Jonathan watching on Facebook from the United Kingdom. And,
hi, Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Cheerio.
Hello. Jonathan excited to come to Las Vegas in January to see the Golden Knights take on the Dallas Stars. That's great. Richard, who is watching us on Facebook in British Columbia, not Britain, but British Columbia, a little closer. Richard's dream is to come to a game in Vegas. Well, you can make that happen. It's not that far.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on down. And also had Andy watching on YouTube in Boise. We got to visit Boise a couple years ago for a Golden Knights preseason game. Home of the Idaho Steelheads and ECHL. Cool spot. Great fan support up there. So thanks to those who have checked in on our Day 2 stream of training camp presented by Core Hydration. Dan Duva, Gary Lawless here in Studio 31 at City National Arena. Just wrapping things up here on the ice as Team Golden has concluded its on-ice work for the day. They've had some video work in between, some review, and we welcome you inside the studio. Dan and Gary here. That's the first group. Team Knights will be coming on momentarily. They'll take the ice at 11:30 a.m., and then they'll go off and do some video, come back on the ice at 12:30, and then later on this afternoon, Team Vegas will hit the ice. That will be at 2 o'clock. Then they'll have a little break for video, then back on for 3 o'clock, and that'll conclude Day 2. Day 3 is tomorrow, of course. And then Sunday is the first game up in San Jose, 5 o'clock. And Gary and I will have the radio broadcast, so you can tune in for that. Gary, this is a fun time of year. And, hope springs eternal this time of year. I always wonder what stories are we missing right now? We can talk about, Mitch Marner's on the team. Oh, they should talk about that. What are some of the things that are going to unfold this year if we look back upon that we will just have totally missed? Things that are surprises, that we couldn't have predicted. I'm going to ask you to try to predict them.
There are going to be surprises.
It's season 9. You should have this figured out.
I'm going to be surprised as well.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that Bruce Cassidy is going to have this is year 4 for him here, and I think he's going to make some schematic tweaks. I also think that coaches need to reinvent themselves a little bit from time to time, and it'll be interesting to see how Bruce, the delivery of his message, how he changes that, or if he does in any way. I think that's something to keep an eye on. Again, I really like the roster. What the lines end up being, that'll be fascinating for me. It could be as simple as having Dorofeev, play on the left side with Eichel and Marner, and Barbashev, moving down with Saad and Hurdle. Will Mark Stone and William Karlsson, will that combination that Bruce Cassidy has been wanting to have and to look at for a long time, will it work out? You would think it would. Stone plays well when he has a good skating center that kind of pushes people back and allows him to fill in a little bit and have some open ice as a result of the centerman dragging people away from Mark. Will that work? I'm interested in that. And then, I think that finding a way to, you don't replace Alex Pietrangelo, but you have to move on from him at this stage. Not going to play this year. So how does that happen? Is Zach Whitecloud a bit of a revelation this year playing with Noah Hannafin? And I'm a big Caden Korczak fan, and I think Jeremy Lauzon will be. I think that's the perfect partner for him. It's kind of like what Theodore has in McNabb. Lauzon is a great skater. Korczak is a great skater. He can handle a puck. He can distribute it, and Lauzon is going to keep the flies off the honey. That's for sure. I think that's a really good pairing.
You mentioned Shay Theodore, and I keep coming back to this. We've watched most of Shay's professional career, of course, had come up with the Ducks. He had not reached 40 assists in any year prior to last year when he had 50. He had 57 points, and he only played in 67 games. In other words, his offensive trend continues upward. Good chunk of that is power play, no doubt about it. But it's now 6 consecutive years he's had at least 40 points, and some of those were hampered by injury. Yeah. Should Shay Theodore remain healthy and take on more responsibility, plus the addition of Marner, the power play, all of that, Shay Theodore has been an incredible Golden Knight for 8 seasons. I wonder if season 9 is an even bigger coming out party for Shay Theodore.
Yeah, you make a good point. He was on the ice for Team Canada at Four Nations for a shift.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a real good chance to play for Team Canada at the Olympics. And I do think that can really help a player. Going to play in a best-on-best situation and excelling there and realizing, wow, I really am one of the best. And it's one thing to hear it, to be told it, to think it. It's another thing to know it. And I wonder if that can kind of really give Shay another kickstart. The other thing is, I think he's really settled into fatherhood. I had a chat with him the other day, and he was telling me all about the stuff he likes to do with his son and how much fun it is to be around him. A lot of guys, their home life becomes the wellspring of their confidence. And when you have that, that stability of having a real good partner and having a child with them, and that part of your life is solidified, sometimes a lot of other stuff just falls into place for you as well.
Yep. He just turned 30 years old a couple months ago.
My career kind of really took off when I got married. It's true. I got married, and all of a sudden there was, I had was at a really good place, and then all of a sudden, I was named columnist at the newspaper I was at. Someone gave me a radio show. Someone started asking me to be on TV, and all kind of, my wife will tell you. Every good man needs a better woman standing in front of him.
No argument here. And we should also mention Theodore's contract, which kicks in this year from 2025 through 2032, 7-year deal, which pays him $7.425 million per season.
That'd make me feel pretty good,
that
too.
Would make you feel pretty good as well. So there you have it. So some
couple commas in those pages.
Yeah, move the decimal down. Those are some predictions, I suppose, things to keep an eye on here as we get going in season number 9. That still is weird to say, season number 9. It's like we think the Golden Knights is an expansion team. They've had great success. They've won a Stanley Cup. Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, won their first Stanley Cup in 2004, and that was just a decade or so into their franchise. Yeah. So, we're sort of treading now past, this early stage of the franchise, which is just bizarre.
You got to stick around for year 10, okay?
I'm not going anywhere. This is great. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed sticking around with us throughout this entire broadcast as we have enjoyed chatting with you. And as usual, we would keep going, but it's time for us to run. Big thank you to everyone behind the scenes to make this show possible. We'll be back with more coverage of training camp. Day 3 will be tomorrow, and it is presented by Core Hydration. Knights kick off their preseason schedule on Sunday in San Jose. 5 o'clock start as the Golden Knights play the Sharks. It's the first of 7 preseason games. It starts Sunday. Of course, Gary and I will have the radio. Dave and Shane over on Script Sports. It's actually Nighttime Plus for the broadcast of the television side, plus Gary and I on the radio for Sunday, 5 o'clock. Big thanks to everyone behind the scenes, and thank you for tuning in to this presentation of Golden Knights Training Camp, presented by Core Hydration.